like a fashion car with the city shining on my face. The lights are shining again.
YouTube, it's the young OG. Welcome back to my channel. Hold on, let me. This shit, my phone mad loud in my ear. YouTube, welcome back to my channel. It is me, it is I, it is the young OG. For today's video, I'm gonna give you guys a vibe. It's Friday night. Let's vibe out. I just came back from outside. Oh my god, it's fucking brick. It's brick outside, but I love this time of the year. Today we're gonna vibe out, we're gonna have a drink, and we're gonna be reacting to The Rise of the Weeknd by Daniel Eason. It's a documentary about The Weeknd and his music. It's not like the one that I did about Drake. We're gonna get in it. We're gonna react to this video once I get comfortable and take all this stuff off. So I'm gonna see y'all back in the office. I just wanna ride.
Competing with these niggas. Now they got my girl. I didn't factor that in. Sorry, this is some of the shit that comes with this.
The fact that I cooked twice today.
Oh my god, what is that?
And I still ordered food is disgusting.
Out of pocket for that shit. Way out of pocket. What do you gain from that?
So YouTube, I'm about to eat this real quick. As soon as I eat this, we gonna get started with the video. YouTube, welcome back to stacyjaytv. Welcome back to the vibes. Welcome back to my channel. It is me, Stacy J, the young OG, your hostess with the mostest. Period. And today, you feel me? I'm bringing you new vibes, new location, new energy, new everything. I just switched around my apartment a little bit, and now the way that I have my desk set up, we can see my kitchen behind me. So there's my kitchen. Don't be looking at my kitchen. Mind your business. So now that I finished eating and everything, we're gonna get right into this video, okay? For today's video, hold on guys, give me a second. I gotta get used to this new setup. I got all types of shit here. For today's video, we are going to be reviewing The Genius of the Weeknd, which is this video down here, the light blue one, by Daniel Eason. So again, I don't know who this person is. The video came out randomly in my recommendations. I watched it, of course. I actually saw this video a few weeks ago. When I say a few weeks ago, I mean like maybe a month or 2 or 3 ago. I don't know. From what I can remember, this video is not like the Drake video that I did. In the Drake video, Aaron was talking about the rise of Drake and how he you know, how he became who he is today. This video is more focusing on like the music, the meaning behind the lyrics, the meaning behind his album rollouts. Kind of similar video, but the focus is different. For those of you who don't know, for the first time viewers, my name is Stacy Jay. I am a singer, I am a songwriter, I am a producer. I definitely love seeing people create music, and I definitely love to dissect the artwork and the, what's the word I'm looking for, and the work ethic of, you know, the big artists that we both know today. Before we get into the video, you guys already know the vibes. If you smoke, roll up, throw on your LED lights, throw this on the big screen, and if you drink, pour up, and let's get into this video.
I want my picture. Get out. Abel, can I get a picture with you?
I appreciate you so much coming over.
Please?
Thanks, Abel. Thank you, brother. Damn.
I'm getting my picture.
We were wondering, man. Thank you so much.
Abel. Can I get a picture? Can I get a picture, Abel? I can see you. Abel.
You think it's possible?
She needs to relax. Like, ma'am.
I want to get a picture.
Ma'am.
She's been waiting on
Abel. I want a picture. She's gonna do it.
Abel, can you get the opposite?
No, she's gonna do it with me. Ready?
Abel, can you get the opposite?
Thank you. I love you. I came to your first gig.
Ma'am, we love you too. Like, I would be like, ma'am, I love you too, but back up. Hold on, I just want to make sure this is not too loud, because I actually recorded this video already one time and I didn't like how it come out, so I'm actually doing it again. So I just want to make sure that this is not too loud, this video.
Fame. The state of being known or talked about by many people, or my definition, the contemporary embodiment to sell oneself like a product. Regardless of what's seen on the outside, many famous fall victim to substance abuse and possibly worse. The reason so many artists succumb to addiction is due to the ignorance and non-awareness that they are people too.
Right.
Celebrities are people dressed in persona, but despite the intense mental pressures fame can baggage, the colossal success of...
I'm not gonna lie, Daniel, you're talking so fast. Like, I'm trying to process everything as you're speaking, so I'm sorry if I'm delayed with my commentary, but he's talking fast.
Abel Tesfaye's career has proven you can control a level of fame seen by the world and still maintain a part of yourself that remains modest and humble. Abel McConan Tesfaye is 31 this year. The Toronto native has been in the spotlight for almost a decade with over a dozen hits on Billboard, scoring 5 number ones, 3 Grammys, countless platinums, and a certified diamond track. With the flashy pop star persona he takes on today, Abel's also known for the secret meanings behind his hit songs like Can't Feel My Face, The Hills, and Blinding Lights. The R&B genre has been heavily influenced by his early music, but given his MJ-esque sound, a first-time listen to Abel is barely incomparable. Despite the similarities, the angelic voice of this Canadian Michael Jackson brought something new to the game no artist has heard of,
Right.
making for every rap fan's favorite R&B singer. But how?
We about to find out. That's my shit.
Before we dive into the mind of Abel Tesfaye, we need to visit the important eras of his past. But given Abel doesn't do many interviews, everything about his past I've had to dig up through articles and indirect sources. Abel Tesfaye was raised in the suburbs of Scarborough, Toronto, where he learned his native language Amharic, and was taken to Ethiopian church service. When Abel was young, his father left him with his mother and grandmother to raise him. At the age of 11, he started smoking weed, building up his tolerance at a young age.
Okay, hold on. Smoking weed at the age of 11 to me is just crazy. I smoke weed. We know that. If you know me, you know that. But however, I just still can't wrap my brain around kids smoking. What was the reason? Like, what were you going through that you were 10, 11, 12, and you're like, yo, somebody buy me a backwood, like...
During the early days of his teenage years, he retained most of his social experiences through television that dove him into a deep state of loneliness. He had little anger towards his father since he wasn't remembered to be abusive, rather not have feelings for him whatsoever. By 16, Abel vowed if he never made it big in the world, he'd commit suicide.
Wow.
At the ripe age of
That's
17,
dark.
Abel and his best friend Lamar Taylor decided to drop out of high school together, disappearing from his mom's life in a flash.
He looked like Bobby Valentino.
In a 2016 article by Tom Lamont, Abel remembers his mother's reaction being, "The worst look anyone could ever have. She looked at me like she failed." With the two best friends now living in Parkdale, Toronto, they shared a one-bedroom apartment with little space for privacy. Among countless horrible decision-making, Abel experimented with cocaine, shrooms, and ketamine to name a few. Using what little money he had, he fed his alcohol and drug addiction, surviving by shoplifting and stealing others' property.
Wow.
This would normally occur when they weren't partying or working 9-to-5 jobs. At one point, Abel left Parkdale, bouncing from girlfriend's house to girlfriend's house, ending up homeless for long periods of time.
Really quickly, I just want to say, every time I hear the story of an artist, and when I say artist, I don't mean just music, it can be an actor, you know, any type of artist. When you hear their story, it always kind of sounds crazy. Like, for example, I remember Kanye, he used to sleep in his studio, and even The Weeknd, going homeless, dropping out of high school. Like, it all sounds crazy. However, when it comes to being an artist, being that I'm one myself, there is no certain path to become an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to be a doctor, it's like, all right, cool, go to school, graduate, doctor. There's a blueprint for that. You want to be a lawyer? Okay, cool, graduate, college, pre-law, whatever. But when it comes to artistry, there isn't like a path for it. Being an artist is hard because you're literally winging everything and figuring everything out on your own. When you're an artist, it's not like, oh, I can rap, okay, so let me rap. No, now you got to figure out what's my sound. Like, what kind of rap do I create? Like, what am I trying to portray? What's going to be my message? Like, it's not just, oh, I can rap, I can sing, let me make music. No. And the people who already figured out what they wanted to do and they're doing that, they look at the artist who is trying to figure out what they want to do and where they belong in this artist world. They look at us as crazy. It's just that we don't have a blueprint the way some of the scholars do. We kind of just have to figure out where we have to find a market. We need to find an empty market and kind of like fill it. I hope I didn't confuse you. I hope that didn't go over your heads.
Along the journey, Abel met a producer who was trying to make a name for himself, the one who will eventually kickstart Abel's vocal ability into the underground world, producer Jeremy Rose. Despite the substance abuse, Abel had an advantage given the pitch in his voice was higher than usual. Abel was either continuing or had just started songwriting, and by this point needed a stage name that would suit him perfectly. With everything that had happened between 2007 to 2010, Abel still hated seeing his mother's reaction that fateful weekend he left her. But with that weekend being the changing point in death of Abel Tesfaye, it was the beginning of the womanizing, partying, and drug-abusing lifestyle that led to the accumulation he hailed, The Weeknd.
I didn't like this song, so I don't know why I'm dancing. So that's how he got his name. That's how The Weeknd got his name. I hope you guys caught that. I hope that didn't go over your heads. This is my shit.
You don't know what's in store. Don't you know what you're here for? Listen, Joey Styles killed it. Big inspiration right here, baby. You already know what it is. He's gonna blow.
I mean, family matters, you know.
In 2010, The Weeknd met and worked with producer Jeremy Rose. They mixed and mastered his first tracks, What You Need, Loft Music, and The Morning, releasing it on YouTube, and although The Weeknd was anxious about his voice, he carried out with his vision for a new wave of dark R&B. This consisted of many truths.
Hold on real quick. You guys heard that? The Weeknd was very insecure and conscious about his voice. However, him and his friend, whatever his name, something Rose, Jerry Rose, I don't know, something. They dropped his first 3 songs on YouTube. It's crazy because imagine if The Weeknd would have let his fear overcome him and he would have never dropped these 3 songs because he was like, oh my God, my voice is too high pitched. I'm a guy. Take that as a learning lesson and as advice. And I say this to myself as well, artists. Don't let fear hinder you and stop you from what you want to do, because all in all, artistry is about discovering something new. In The Weeknd's example, he was a man with a very high-pitched voice, and he was like, this is not normal. Like, other men don't sing like this. However, that didn't stop him. He was like, I'm going to still drop this music, and look. That's what artistry is all about. Artistry is all about finding what makes you unique and then sharing that with the world. I need to take my own fucking advice.
Weeknd expressed through his vocal ability. The raw truth being the world he lived in with the drugs he'd take and the women he'd sleep with. This wouldn't be the first time an artist made a take on their dark fantasy through R&B, but for the project to be heavily focused on this kind of lifestyle, it was a game changer. Despite the negativity he was singing about, he was far from promoting it, rather criticizing himself for it while still giving in to his own influence. The lifestyle he adapted after leaving his mother's house was even worse, but he felt comfort in the things he was doing, the freedom he controlled. Abel, now by the stage name The Weeknd, was living in a world he created from the experiences he captured on television. A pocket world he manifested through the harsh and grimy drug-induced fantasy. A world fueled with melancholy, drugs, and sex. A world he later titled House of Balloons. But before the creation of what will soon to have launched him into superstardom, The Weeknd parted ways with Jeremy Rose and instead met producers Il Angelo in December of 2010 and Doc McKinney in January of 2011. With the perfect producer suited to embody the sound of his mind, it was time for The Weeknd to manifest all of his experiences into 3 mixtapes titled House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence, eventually putting it together.
These 3 mixtapes right here, iconic. I have never heard another body of work this amazing. Like, I can't even put it into words what I'm feeling in here just looking at these 3 mixtapes. This shit was iconic when it came out. You guys gotta understand, there was nobody out there that sounded like this at the time. This shit was groundbreaking. I love it when a new artist drops some fire debut shit and then the sophomore project is some fire follow-up shit, and then The Weeknd with him is like he just kept going. He gave us fire after fire after fire after fire, and it was, to me, it was like whoa, like I couldn't catch all the fucking heat that he was throwing.
Yeah, they're hard. Yeah.
This shit is they're classics. The trilogy album, which is the 3 mixtapes put together, is a classic. It's a classic in my eyes. This shit will never get old.
One project titled Trilogy.
Girl, put a word
This is my shit.
There are only two artists that I know saved my life. That's Kurt Cobain and The Weeknd.
Why The Weeknd?
And not the current Weeknd. You have to go listen to his old shit. He had his mixtapes. There were mixtapes. There was House of Balloons, there was Thursday, and there was Echoes of Silence. He basically took the mixtapes, remastered them, added like 3 tracks, made them into an album called a trilogy.
Now that we understand his backstory and come up, we can get into what makes him successful and why. Throughout hours of effort and pure skill, The Weeknd didn't take any off, with creating his own brand XO and dropping the 3 mixtapes that changed the game in 2011. House of Balloons was about a man losing himself to his drug addiction and unfavorable relationships with women.
I left my girl back home. I don't love her no more, and she'll never fucking know that. These fucking eyes that I'm staring at.
In this track, The Weeknd hit a low point, one of many he boldly sings about, describing the shame he feels for cheating on his partner with a prostitute. Instead of caring about how this girl would feel, he gives in to his lustful emotions in an attempt to find comfort and satisfaction.
Bring your love, baby, I could bring my shame. Bring the drugs, baby, I could bring my pain. I got my heart right here. I got my scars right here.
This right here?
Fucking ads. YouTube, you're disrespectful. You see me singing the song. Like, shit.
Is what separated how R&B artists approach songs about seduction.
This is music I was listening to get outside of my mind. This is music I was listening to help me. And the subject matter is a bit different, but the energy behind it was real.
Unlike many at the time, The Weeknd was the first to confront vulnerability without making excuses or claiming how great of a person
he was. Absolutely.
He's admitting the exact opposite. This guy is a piece of shit, and it works.
So tell me you love me.
In the song House of Balloons, Glass Table Girls, The Weeknd tries to convince people that his party is fun while everyone is high out of their minds with weed smoke.
This was a skip for me, I'm not gonna hold ya.
As Eason says in his breakdown of the mixtape, this song is one big metaphor for depression, and instead of confronting it, everybody's drowning it.
I remember when I was younger, this song was a skip for me. However, this was one of the few songs that had a video at the time. And I remember watching this video, and this was actually one of the few songs that I actually understood the meaning behind. Because when I was young listening to this, I actually was in that scene of partying a lot, trying to mask how I really felt in the inside. However, I was really young, so I didn't know that I was partying to mask. I thought I was just partying.
Now, I'd never praise somebody I know who'd cheat or do drugs. Not by any means do I find this type of mindset fair for anybody. But the whole purpose we find sympathy for the bad guy is because a part of us understands them. A part of us wants to see the redemption, or maybe why they've fallen into chaos to begin with. You can't create a believable character in a film without giving them an arc. Character development is important and key. That goes for music and all of pop culture. The entire trilogy mixtape is composed of his drug-inducing sex fantasies come to life, with the haunting and depressing atmosphere of each instrumental complementing the grimy apartments and quick entertainments. Throughout House of Balloons, he doesn't sugarcoat his erratic decisions, from bringing out the 707 tables to having threesomes with 2 best friends.
Wow.
Those girls don't have to hide the cocaine in the bathroom, they can snort it here in the living room. He openly embraces the chaos just because, but his actions don't come without consequence.
Before we go into the next song, it's crazy that he says this because I'm going to be honest. Again, when The Weeknd first came out, I was very young, so in my mind, The Weeknd was sex music. I'm sorry, I don't even mean to be to children watching this. Skip forward like 5 minutes. To me, The Weeknd, I thought from what I was listening, I thought I was listening to like sex music. I thought I was listening to a guy talking about, I don't know, his sexual experiences. Like, I don't know. At the time, I didn't get that he was talking about depression and drugs and overdoing it. And like, I didn't get that.
By the end of the mixtape, he finds out the girl he's been with cheated on him back, breaking his heart and getting what he deserves, ending this crazy world of the House of Balloons he created.
This is my shit.
Feels like it was detached. Like he was singing about like being kind of almost emotionless. Like dealing with women, you know what I mean? Like
it was contradictory.
He didn't care, you know what I mean?
It was contradictory, but it was numbing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was the good thing about it, because it spoke. Look, the words didn't have to speak to you. It was the energy, because it spoke to your soul. It touched your soul.
It did.
It numbed your soul. It helped your soul get through shit.
It did.
I swear it's okay, 'cause I know everything.
It's that shit.
I know everything.
That's that shit. That's that shit, y'all. That's that shit. This is that shit.
Quick rewind to 2010 when The Weeknd posted his music to YouTube for the first time. During the period when his fans didn't know if The Weeknd was a band or a white guy, he was contacted by a man named Oliver El Khatib, co-founder of October's Very Own and the manager of fellow...
See, everyone thought he was a band or a white guy back then. No one knew that he was like a single black man.
Toronto native and growing pop star Aubrey Drake Graham. Oliver introduced Drake to The Weeknd's music and had his songs featured on Drake's OVO blog. Fast forward to 2011 and the duo's friendship was at its peak. The hype around an OVO XO project grew, with The Weeknd attending Drake's annual OVO Fest and creating 3 tracks with the rapper. Most of his fan base came from Drake's at the time, leading to Drake offering The Weeknd a spot under his label. But unlike many signed to OVO, The Weeknd didn't want to give up his masters and be owned by another artist. Instead, gifting Drake unreleased songs from Trilogy. Whether or not this was a smart move by the...
Wait, hold on, stop. Yeah, I remember in my Drake video, Aaron Speaking covered this whole part about there was a whole debacle where Drake stole songs from The Weeknd, que esto, que lo otro, que yo no sé, I don't know. And this guy, Daniel, just said that The Weeknd gifted Drake some music from Trilogy. So I guess the music that Drake dropped in his Take Care album with The Weeknd were originally The Weeknd songs that was supposed to go in his Trilogy album. Damn, Weeknd. Those are some bops too.
Weeknd, he still dodged a bullet by not signing, given artists like Party Next Door and Majid Jordan have been shadowed by the colossal success of Drake's career, stuck under the OVO label for years.
I'm not gonna hold you. That's, if you ask me, that's kind of a smart move depending on where you want to go with things. He gifted Drake the songs because he didn't want to sign. So if you ask me, shit, he dodged a bullet there.
Drake, disappointed by The Weeknd's decision, used his throwaway songs in favor of adding tracks to his sophomore album Take Care, released in late 2011.
You already know Echoes of Silence is coming whenever he feels like it. Take Care November 15th. It's our time right now, man. It's nobody else's time, for real.
Take Care is all that matters right now.
You already know, man.
After the release of the album and the over-success of their collab song Crew Love, Take Care dominated the new year, making for one of Drake's best bodies of work, with the album going #1 and 6 times platinum. With The Weeknd playing a major role in songwriting, he didn't get credit for the songs, stating in a 2015 Rolling Stones interview he gave up almost half of his album because he was hungry for fame. But Drake later denies this, claiming The Weeknd only co-wrote certain songs with him.
A lot of the time we spent trying to do it together, you know, like there's memories I'll never forget, you know, times that were like, we spent real time, not like other artists' time, like real time, you know, we put in real work together. I'm proud of his success. We've both had our moments where we've maybe felt away and, you know, taken it maybe a little left, but I can sit here in front of you and just say I have nothing but love for everybody over there. I loved watching him last year. It made me super happy.
They saying Drizzy just snapped.
The misunderstandings of the collab project OVO XO were dying. Despite Drake being upset, The Weeknd wanted to be his own artist and calling him out for Take Care's origins. This was only the beginning of long feuds via subliminal messaging, shady Instagram posts, and petty ex-relationships. With the petty nature of Drake's character, The Weeknd chose to remain humble, leaving public opinion to shape the now passive-aggressive relationship of the two artists.
皆さん、音楽は好きですか？私は大好き。
I remember.
The Weeknd.
I remember seeing this album roll out for the first time, because this album was highly anticipated because The Weeknd went silent for years. So we were all like, what the fuck? What is he dropping next? And then I remember this fucking rollout.
あなたのためにいっぱい曲を作ったみたいだよ。楽しみだね。The Weeknd の曲を聴くといっぱいハッピーになれるよ。その秘密を知りたい？私が今から教えてあげる。もしみんなもハッピーになりたかったら今すぐここに電話。番号は647-794-9223.
Yeah. You see that date? You see it? 10 o'clock. In the morning. In the morning! About to listen to fucking Kissland for the fucking first time. So all of that fucking peer pressure, man. After all of the time waiting for this motherfucker to drop.
Yeah. It was very anticipated.
Even with permission from the man himself. The body was willing, bitch. But the mind was set.
In 2013, The Weeknd's debut album Kissland hit streaming services. Many fans to this day still love this album due to the creative narrative of Japanese culture surrounding it. The versatility of an R&B singer goes so far, but The Weeknd's pushed its boundaries with his unique style of instrumentals, vocals, and lyrical choice, so much so that he's played a big part in most rappers' careers to this day. The impact of XO has spread through the new generation, influencing recent artists like XXXTentacion to Lil Uzi Vert. I mean, what do you think Uzi's XO tour life refers to? The erratic lifestyle the Weeknd character embraces, of course, but even with House of Balloons being the starting point, he's made many successors, moving from radio R&B to pop hits to indie electronica. The Weeknd still holds core values he's carried from the start, with very dark and disturbing meanings behind songs that are less abrasive but still honest. Know this one?
I can feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it.
If you couldn't tell, this song is about The Weeknd linking up with a girl to do cocaine, hence he can't feel his face after snorting.
I wasn't a fan of this song.
The Hills feature similar messaging.
This song was okay.
This song refers to him sleeping with a married woman. He only wants her to touch him sexually and not feel him emotionally, hence the affair. He still recognizes how much of a shitty person he is and abandons all acts of hiding it. Believe it or not,
That's interesting,
this
I didn't
flashy
get that
80s
from
themed
this
pop
song at
song
all.
has a hidden meaning as well. In the comments, try to guess what he means before I break it down at the end of the video.
So yeah, I'm a virgin.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about.
Containing
in
my
that video.
seed gives me superpowers other singers don't possess. Right now, I'm using my virgin power to win Grammys.
But if my calculations are correct, soon my nutsack will be a time machine. I'm trying to fuck with dinosaurs.
This song was my favorite.
With the impactful heartthrob The Weeknd's become, and I mean I literally couldn't find one single video of anyone hating on him, he eventually gives the persona a break. In 2015, The Weeknd met supermodel Bella Hadid, soon to be his girlfriend. This is the first time The Weeknd gets to be Abel Tesfaye, sticking to commitment, sidelining the persona that sleeps around and has affairs. This is the first time in Abel's career he's been publicly seen dating
Jennifer
another
Lawrence.
woman, making it a changing point in his character. Although the relationship was a positive in Abel's life, it was short-lived when it came to a mutual end. However, the now single Bella Hadid had a birthday party hosted by none other than the salt god himself, Drake. With this
Drake
petty
is
jab
so
from Drake
petty.
surely inciting a possible hookup, it undoubtedly pissed Abel off, feuding the passive-aggressive battle between the two even more. With Abel and Bella Hadid still being on and off after the Drake interference, Abel let her go, growing past his pain and adapting the persona of The Weeknd that slowly drove him mad. But with The Weeknd and Abel Tesfaye being one and the same only meant one thing: a growth in his character. As most artists evolve, they do so through style and appearance, but what they can customize and make their signature look is up to them. One of the most recognizable traits is someone's hair. Spanning all throughout pop culture and human history in general, the growth of hair signifies the growth of character.
Right.
The Weeknd's signature hairstyle throughout the early to mid-2010s simply became iconic. But as all good things come to an end, his iconic nap got a trim as The Weeknd transitioned from his 2015 studio album Beauty Behind the Madness to his 2016 studio album Starboy. Not only did he transition out of a committed relationship and iconic hairdo, but he also transitioned the genre of music he created. From the pop sex and the dark tones of his music now came the nuance of the urban, abstract, and electropop sound The Weeknd character adapted.
I remember that song.
During
it was on the radio,
2017, Abel took an interest in Selena Gomez. But after the 10-month relationship ending as well, Selena went back to her ex barely a week after they broke up. With the failed relationships of Abel's past, came the inspiration for 2018's My Dear Melancholy, his first EP.
I didn't really listen to this EP when it came out. However, I did listen to it a few weeks ago. And there are a few songs in there that I like. However, I'm going to be honest with you. After Kissland, I fell off a little bit from The Weeknd. Because then he went, those two albums or those two projects that came after Kissland, to me, were very pop star-ish. Hold on, guys. Okay, YouTube. We're back. We're going to take a quick intermission. Camera, technical difficulties, but we back.
So gently, I want you to stay. I want you to stay, even though you don't want me.
This was the breaking point for Abel Tesfaye when he drew inspiration from his failed relationships, a huge change from the topics he sung about on House of Balloons. In a way, every project till now slowly drifts from his old ways, given he wants out of the lifestyle he created, the broken hearts he's accumulated. But with Abel Tesfaye and The Weeknd being stuck together for good, he has no choice but to live with his ways, building up to one of, if not the best project he's made to date.
Which one is that? I don't think this is his best project to date. Sorry, sir. It is not his best project to date. I think Trilogy is his best project to date.
The Weeknd, everybody! Thanks for watching!
This project was good, but it wasn't his best to date. I hope this camera doesn't die before this video is over. I need at least another 20 minutes. After Hours is a no for me, dog. It's a no for me, Chief. While we watch this, I'm gonna pull up After Hours. See if there's
With everything that's
songs I
happened
like.
to The Weeknd throughout his wild journey, it's all come to After Hours. For the first time ever, The Weeknd struggles to escape the world he's submersed himself in to defeat the persona he's become. The whole album's sound is inspired by synth pop and other 80s instruments, but the way he uses the 80s to visualize and represent this vibe.
Really quick before we continue talking about the album. Wait, the freaking mic is down here. What I was saying is that I like 4 songs from the After Hours album because I only downloaded 4 songs. And I do that when I download artist album. I usually don't download the whole thing. I download the songs that I like. And in this case, it's Too Late, Snow Child, Escape from LA, and Heartless. Only 4 songs I like from this project. Let's continue.
Of work can play as a metaphor for being stuck in his same old ways. And in a way, he hates this version of himself. After Hours as an album was another one of The Weeknd's double meanings. Before the release, however, The Weeknd dropped videos for Heartless and Blinding Lights. This is the first time Abel portrayed The Weeknd as a character, his tragedy expanding throughout his music, videos, and lyrics for this project.
I remember this whole rollout, but I ignored it. There's some rollouts that are cute, but there's some rollouts that are just like, alright, you're just doing too much, sir. And I don't want to say that he was doing too much. I just wasn't interested. You know what I mean? Me not being interested doesn't mean it was trash, because I didn't even give it a chance, so I can't say that. Just was not interested.
Consistency in each video being a little darker than the last, revealing each meaning through the layers. Inspired by the 1985 film After Hours and 2019's Joker, Abel amazingly brought the Weeknd character to life. In Heartless, he enters Vegas ready to spend it all just to have a good time so he can escape his loneliness. He takes drugs and runs away only to come back again in the Blinding Lights video. This time, speeding down a highway and getting beat up by club security, running once more and still having the after effects of whatever drug he's taking. The bandages around his head during the American Music Awards lead up to the Save Your Tears music video where The Weeknd embraces this life even more. Covered in plastic surgery, the subliminal messaging with his ex, Selena Gomez, shows one of many reasons why he's trapped. Her leaving was one of these reasons, and by that point felt she should have put him out of his misery. This Hollywood lifestyle has taken him over, as if each attempted escape brings him back worse than before. At the end of Blinding Lights, you can see he's accepted this fate, the fate of being trapped in a loop of heartbreak in Hollywood.
This isn't just an album. This is a movie, a horror flick of the reality that's Vegas.
I probably should look into it.
And The Weeknd portrays that in a beautiful, horrific, yet sad way.
But it doesn't end here. The city of Vegas is a callback to this line from The Morning on House of Balloons.
I think it's just Snow Child.
But now in Snow Child, this beautiful yet tragic fantasy he portrays perfectly suits his mind. This whole entire album wasn't just an album, but an experience.
I didn't watch this video. If this is the video to Snow Child, didn't watch it. Yeah, this rollout was crazy. One of the craziest rollouts I've seen in a while. However, I just was so uninterested by this rollout. Like, I could really care less. It's probably because I know how talented The Weeknd is. So I feel like this rollout was almost unnecessary. You know, I feel like The Weeknd is, in my brain, obviously, in my opinion, he's a true artist, a true lyricist, and he creates this sound that I like to call abstract music, meaning where he doesn't give you the traditional song structure of like hook, verse, like, you know, he gives you that, of course, but there's a lot of songs where it's just like an abstract layout where he might, one part of the song might be one flow and the other part might be a completely different flow. Sometimes he might give you a hook and just a whole verse. Like it's just amazing. Sometimes Drake does that. A lot of the new acts, of course, caught on, like Travis Scott, and there's a lot of others out there who give me that abstract sound that I'm talking about. So I almost felt like this rollout was unnecessary. In my opinion, maybe The Weeknd was trying to make a point, and maybe the point being like, okay, this is who you guys like. You guys like The Weeknd. You guys like the, you know, the old me, the one that used to do drugs, House of Balloons Weeknd. So I'm gonna give you him. This is he. I feel like that's kind of what this is. Very much unnecessary because we all know what he's capable of. However, he's a human being. He can do whatever he pleases. So.
Before the album dropped, the hype around this project started from an Instagram post in late 2019, captioned, "The fall starts tomorrow night." Over the course of the next few months, he rolled out singles, trailers, and cinematic visualizers, ultimately doing what many artists fail to do, rollouts.
That shit went off.
A
It
rollout
went on for
often
so
refers
long.
to a significant product release, which is frequently accompanied by a strong marketing campaign to generate consumer interest. In other words, instead of drip-feeding singles before a project's release, the artist takes the time to generate hype through different types of marketing like live performances, subliminal messaging, real-life encounters, and much more to create a setting and general vibe of what's to come. I mean, look at this. He didn't have to perform on a New York City skyscraper with fireworks lining the Hudson. This isn't normal. This is exceeding expectations.
Right.
An experience around the album itself. This type of marketing strategy creates memories, making you love the body of music even more.
That's
because
true.
at the end of the day, that's what'll be remembered the most.
That's true.
There's a reason most fans want Drake to go back to his old music. Because of the experiences they had with the music at that time.
That's true.
Like when an old song takes you back to a certain point in life. But with Drake being a decades-old artist now, those memories created around that body of work triumph his new music no matter how new or old it sounds. Artists like Eminem, Kanye, and Jay-Z, to name a few, have fallen victim to this as well. I call it failing to roll out. The Weeknd is a decades-old artist as well, but here he is with his biggest project to date. I find it sad most artists don't take the opportunity to let a body of work exist before the release of the actual project, and that's where most go wrong. After Hours dropped in March of 2020, and the closest thing I've seen since was for Drake's 6th studio album CLB, which at the time was supposed to be out, but he's delayed it twice, failing to keep the hype at the level The Weeknd did. But who am I kidding? It's still Drake. Regardless, this is a dying art that needs to be brought back. The most recent artist before him who's done this successfully was Travis Scott for 2018's Astroworld. But we can't forget the lyrics as well. Like I said earlier, Blinding Lights has a double meaning, one darker than you'd think. Instead of cocaine snorting and affairs with the married, the outro in the previous song Faith explains these blinding lights aren't from Vegas, but from an ambulance.
I like this song.
Ended up in the back of a fashion car with the city shining on my face. The lights are riding me again. I ended up in the back of a fashion car with the city shining on my face. The lights are blinding me again. I ended up in the back of a fashion car.
After Hours was a groundbreaking album with or without the Grammy Awards. But along with the unfairness of the Grammys as a whole, Abel still got his big moment to shine, getting a whole Super Bowl halftime show to himself. And even though Drake claims they made amends in 2019, I bet it still felt good knowing Drake was in a commercial for the show he was performing.
I did half a Zan, 13 hours till I land. Had me out like a light.
I take half a Zan and I still stay awake.
And if karma doesn't strike twice, it sure
wow.
did this time when Selena's new relationship was trashed by Bieber eventually getting married later that year. Bella Hadid was The Weeknd's ex when she hooked up with Drake, but given the pettiness of them both, she still served as an inspiration for everything he's created since. Another pit stop, if you will. If you're not an XO fan, you're probably wondering why I've been referring to Abel Tesfaye and The Weeknd as two different people when they're clearly the same person. Yes, this is true, but to put in perspective, The Weeknd is an exaggerated version of Abel Tesfaye's old self from Parkdale.
Right.
And with time came fame, which motivated him to stop the abuse of the drugs he was taking. However, the exaggerated lifestyle and character of The Weeknd and his lyrics is all people can see now, a version of his old self that everyone fell in love with. But given the awareness of his realization through After Hours, he subverted his downfall by quitting drugs, continuing to remain modest and humble in a world filled with crazy fans, ungrateful friends, and failed relationships. Where he's at now completely contradicts how some celebrities handle these type of mental pressures fame can baggage. And whether you decide The Weeknd is a hitmaker, drug addict, or dirtbag, you can't deny one thing, that being his genius. If you've enjoyed this content, consider subscribing and donating to my Patreon. Hit the bell below and follow me on Instagram for frequent content updates. What do you think about The Weeknd's career? Were you ever a fan, and how did you discover him? Thank you for watching.
Alright guys, that was the video. Shout out to Daniel Eason. Alright, that's a wrap on that video. You guys, thank you so much for watching. I have to really wrap this up quick because this camera's dying and I'm on the time frame. But in conclusion, The Weeknd is an amazing artist. The Trilogy, a classic album. Any album or project after that, in my opinion, in my eyes, is cool. It was it was good. It wasn't nothing like the Trilogy though. That's all. I don't really want to talk much. We watched this. We learned a lot about The Weeknd. You know, it is what it is. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at stacyjaytv. Thumbs up the video so that YouTube can recommend my videos to the algorithm or however that works. Leave a comment if you want, and I will see you next time in my next video. Bye.